Hey everybody, good evening. That was a smattering, thank you. Welcome to CSC Portland for the third of 4 student stand-up showcases taking place in June. It's an exciting time. I'm glad you're here, they're glad you're here. I think at the end of the night you'll still be glad you were here. Awesome. And so first of all, a couple of rules of the road. Marianne and Jay are in back, it's just Marianne right now, but she'll sell you things mostly anytime. It's probably best to go back there at a transition, you know? Like comics struggling up here, and then you get up from the front row and walk to the front desk a little up. Also, I know sometimes if your friend goes first or second, you want to leave, but in our world, that's not cool. Also, these are students, right? Now, some are more experienced than others, but they're students. So this is a non-heckling zone. Yeah? We're here to support. We'll leave the heckling to other people. If you really want to heckle, tap me on the shoulder and go outside. We'll go outside, you can heckle me. And you can see what 35 years of improv does. Anyway, yeah, I would actually enjoy the opportunity. So that's cool. One other thing to note is by being here, you are accepting that your image may be used. We are streaming worldwide on the Zooms. It's going to go on YouTube. We have one camera that does show audience from time to time. If you don't want to be here for that, that's okay. But if you're here, you're agreeing. Cool? Awesome. Great, thanks so much. And we have the rights to your image in perpetuity for any purpose without any money attached to it. Okay, cool. Now we've got that done, let's talk about what's really happening tonight. First of all, these have been great classes. We have new ones starting in July. There's 2 spaces left in the intro class, which begins on Mondays, July 10th, with Carl Wolfson. And then there's advanced classes. We've expanded it from 1 class to 2 on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So if you have some stand-up experience and you would like to take those classes with a couple spaces left in each, and that would be awesome. Carl needs the money, and so do we. So check that out. We're at portlandcomedy.com. Carl, that's portlandcomedy.com.
Portlandcomedy.com?
That's right. Okay. We'll be doing that bit throughout the night. All right, cool. So, who's Carl Wolfson? Well, he's been in the stand-up business for about 40 years. He's appeared on a lot of shows. Some of his jokes, I realized in my introduction last time, I gave some of his jokes away, so I won't do it. He's been a radio host here in Portland on Air America and other stations for many years. He's a wonderful guy. Please welcome your host and their teacher, Carl Wolfson. For Patrick, ladies and gentlemen. How are you?
Thanks for so. How many people are here to see family or friends? Most of you? Oh, wow. I haven't seen that many hands go up since they asked the question, do you like submersibles? Too soon, wasn't it? Okay. Here's my material on the Kennedy assassination. You're always here. I love you. You're going to get an honorary degree from my class. What
I might sign up for you.
You might sign up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's a great threat. I like that. What's your name?
Mark.
Hi, Mark. Good to meet you, Mark. Good to meet you.
That's
Dylan.
Dylan.
Dylan? Okay. You're the comedy den mother. Just introduce everyone. That's Heidi. Oh, they're taking me seriously. Let's go around.
Kevin's down here. Kevin's down here.
And you, sir?
Kevin.
Okay, get all your stories ready because, and you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. Okay. My husband's here tonight, which is always nice. I've been doing comedy for 43 years, and he's had enough of it, so it's rare that he's here. But Gary's here. We've been married 25 years last December. Gary's here. Give him a round of applause. People ask me how gay marriage is different than a straight marriage. It isn't. It's basically the same thing. The most common phrase you hear at our house is, "What? I can't hear you. I'm downstairs." That's pretty much marriage. 25 years, I say things like, "Am I bothering you?" And he goes, "Now or in general?" You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can see the eyes. That's good. Yeah. He said something really funny a couple months ago. I said, "You should take my class." He goes, "Oh, I've taken that class." Gary's from South Dakota, which is, anyone from South Dakota? Anyone been to South Dakota? Oh, look at the hands go up. Yeah, okay. When were you in South Dakota?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh, yeah, that's usually the answer is, oh, fucking God, oh, my God. What?
2003.
2003? What were you there for, a flood? Or was it
Conference.
a conference? What were they talking about? How to get out of South Dakota? Did you give them...
It was training.
Training? In South Dakota? What, did you learn to cow tip? Was that a big thing?
No, but the bikes were there for Sturgis.
Oh, for Sturgis. So you were
No,
training
it was
Hell's
a
Angels? Is that what you were doing?
That was just part of the experience.
Oh, what? Oh, good for you. And what do you do to be trained in South Dakota?
I was in workforce training.
Workforce training. Like, we don't have a workforce here in Oregon, so you had to go to South Dakota.
Yeah, that's about the size.
Yeah. Good. Would you go back again?
Oh, sure.
She's oh, sure. This is how those 5 people got on a submersible. I'm telling you, sure, I'll go. Yeah, find the Titanic. Yeah, okay, let's go cow tipping. Yeah, Gary's mascot was the irrigators in high school. That's a good thing. They're so proud. Imagine that cheer. Thank you. That's okay. Some of these jokes you get on the way home. Some of you just wake up tomorrow morning. Fuck, that was really funny. Gary also, we like to compare notes growing up with our dysfunctional. Anyone from a dysfunctional family? Were the hands on that? Oh, come on! That should be 100%. Jesus. Look at someone raised 2 hands. Like, both of my parents were fucked. Gary's grandmother was. Oh, now small discussion groups. Let's see how much this therapy's cost me. Gary's grandmother was, I love this story, he was like 6 years old. His grandmother is a severe Catholic, and he's over at his grandmother's house. He brushes up accidentally against the wood-burning stove and burns his finger, and he's like crying, and his grandmother comes over to him and says, "You remember that pain because the fires of hell are 1,000 times worse." I guess no cookies, Grandma, huh? Okay. Well, you're a wonderful crowd. How many people think they're a wonderful crowd? Raise your hand. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. No, I'm impressed. You guys are wonderful. You've been to South Dakota. You're ready to rumble. And I'm really proud of all my students, and especially this group tonight. They've worked so hard to get here. For many, it's the first or second time on stage, and I know you're going to love them all. We're starting with a great guy who has taken 2 of my classes, so he's doubly good as he was the first time. Please welcome John Burton, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Hold on, I get my teleprompter going here. Is this too cheap of a place to have real teleprompters? So, I'm just gonna scroll down, give me a second. I was gonna do a fart joke, but I'm gonna skip it. So, I took a comedy class 6 months ago. I wanted to be a motivational speaker, an influencer. I'm on Instagram. I have 4 followers. Been emailing Anheuser-Busch. I think they're going to stick to Clydesdales. So, my first stand-up was absolutely terrible. I mean terrible. I mean Janice, who works in accounting, with the quad decaf, sugar-free latte, eating a fucking jelly donut with a little lip jelly right here. Talking about her hairy sack. Funnier than my stand-up. To no surprise, I'm divorced. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So wife 2.0 loves me a lot, much better. It also helps that she's not a lesbian. True story. Yeah, wife 1.0, man. Fucking Dilbert the dildo has so much battery power you can charge your Tesla with it. Had AAA stamped on the side. So, yeah. So, I wasn't a very attentive husband with 1.0. She'd go to Palm Springs 2, 3, 4, 10, 12 times a year with the girls. And she would send pictures of dinners, swimming, pillow fights. I'm like, God, the shared experience. She's so nice. And I realized, no, we had a shared Shutterfly account. She was making a memory book. Yeah, so when I took this class and I did my first stand-up, I thought I was in a safe space. Look, George Carlin, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, they all started somewhere. I kind of put myself into that category. Carlin and I had a lot in common. First of all, we're both short. Chappelle and Rock, much taller. The other thing about Carlin that's interesting is he got in trouble too. In 1972, FCC, Federal Communications Commission, tried to sanction him for the 7 dirty words you cannot say on television. True story. I can't say those words tonight, but I would highly recommend, as a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, uncle, grab those kids, turn Disney off, get that family computer, Google, help those children get ahead. Learn the words. I mean, they've served me well, and I would imagine they will help them too. But, so Carlin and I get in trouble. It was so bad that I almost got sent to Florida to work with shit, piss, cunt, fuck, motherfucker, cocksucker, and sugar tits DeSantis. God, I love that. So, now I'm a recovering Republican. True. I moved into unincorporated Multnomah County in a house. It can get confusing in Multnomah County, I know, there's a lot of optional housing. But I was in a house. I still have a Lake Oswego address. It's baby steps. You can't be a complete recovering Republican without taking tiny, tiny steps. So, here I am. I've lost my place, but that's okay. You guys are so cool. I've taken an advanced comedy class. Still not funny. Thank you. I'm still on Instagram. I have 1 follower. It's me. I follow myself. Somebody has to. So, okay. lot of things to talk about. First of all, I recently had a birthday. Thank you. I'm closer to 80 than I am 18. It's a milestone. Oh, that's a great question. Thank you, third row. Yes, the carpet does not match the drapes. This tumbleweed is happy to be involved. I mean, jeez. But thank you. Appreciate the question. Yeah, so I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid right off. It's kind of obvious. I am the problem with America. I am an old, white, privileged white male. I can't change that. I can change my voter registration card. I'm now independent. It's true. Nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about now. So that was easy to change. I can't change this. So my family says I'm fussy. I'm the worst kind of fussy. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. So I made a list of things that they think are a little ridiculous. I'll share them with you if you want. So I'm just going to pick up my teleprompter because my eyes are shitty because I'm almost 80. So my deodorant comes in orange wrapped tissue paper from Paris. Doesn't everybody's. My body wash, London. My shoes are from Italy, purchased through my broker Alfredo out of Miami. When I get my teeth cleaned every other month, I get gassed. The same gas I use for root canals, but I'm a real pussy. I'm not sure at what point shampoo became a product, but my shit comes from Paris as well. I'm the first one on, and I'm the first one off the airplane, and guess what? I'm not the pilot. You'll catch up. I dry clean my t-shirts and my sheets. My monthly dry cleaning bill is equal to what most people pay for a mid-sized sedan. I love convertible German cars. In fact, speaking about the German convertible, I went to the gas station the other day. This is where I'm a little worried about America and our youth. Tops down. I go to Chevron Electric Gas. They have a better logo. They do a great fucking job of marketing their gas. I love it. Pull in, tops down. Kid says, "Hey, is that a convertible?" I so wanted to say no, but that kid needed the win. Jesus. Yes, it is a convertible. I shower 3 times a day. People think that's weird. I just call it game ready. But I'm modern. I have pronouns. You want to hear them, don't you?
Yeah.
They're good. Prada, Rolex, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Fidelity Investment. I think pronouns really represent who you are. So, I'm a dick. So my wife and I, 2.0, we moved into a really cool house in unincorporated Multnomah County, built in 1939. Great old house. We don't have air conditioning. So the other night it was like 90 degrees, hot as shit in the house, and she says, "Hey, take off your clothes." So I do. She says, "I meant your shirt." Too late. So the next morning she says, uncharacteristically, she goes, "You look like a porn star with sleep." I said, "This tumbleweed?" She goes, "Yeah." Huh, okay. She goes, "You could have a career touring the assisted living facilities." I'm like, okay. So I tried it. Okay, those old ladies, they don't carry cash, they write checks. You know what it's like going into Bank of America on Monday with $51 checks? Memo line, meet you next time, MEAT. Love ya, winky wink. I mean, it's just wrong. So my buddy, he put a 900 bottle wine rack in his house. Beautiful, saw it. You know, a 900 bottle wine rack, society has such a different view of things. I mean, look, You have 900 balls of wine, you're a connoisseur. You've made it. You know what you're talking about. I prefer vodka. They're going to put me in a hospital immediately if I have 900 bottles of vodka. This guy's got a problem. My other buddy asked if I like cornhole. But I love cornhole. Never hit the hole though. It's kind of a way to live my life. I don't like fucking. So my wife and I, we were sitting around deciding, we're kind of out of shape, we're a little fat, and we want to join an athletic club. So we go to Dick's to get, clothes for, our new adventure. How did I know Dick's would be a foreshadow of what I'm going to find at the athletic? Have you been into a men's locker room? It's terrible. First of all, hold on, I gotta put my teleprompter down. Face down like this. They talk to you like Mighty Mouse. It's the weirdest thing. Why can't they just shower with their clothes on like I do? I don't get it. I just don't get it. So in other news, kind of weird. Well, first of all, 9/11, the musical, played in Portland. It did not crash and burn. Just think about that for a second. Oh, it's been several years. Come on. So the other thing that's in the news is the Penn State professor. You know what I'm going to say? Yes, I love the third row. Second row, actually. This guy gets arrested. I can't even make it up. For fucking his dog. I don't know what's wrong with this guy, whatever, that's his own issue, but I have a question. I have a question. Here it is. Was the dog over 18 and was it consensual? That's all I got. Okay, so we have a new puppy. Named Poppy. She eats her own poopy, so our dog eats her own shit, basically. So we go to the vet and say, look, this can't be good for our dog. There's something not right about it. They go, no problem, it happens. You got this powder, you put the powder on the food, they eat the food, they shit, the shit tastes really terrible, it stops them from eating their own poop. Right, makes sense. Thank you. Who's the tester? Who's the trainee that gets stuck testing the poop? This tastes like shit. Okay. This tastes worse than shit. The training is amazing. So anyway, I'm the fluffer. I'm the one to get you guys warmed up for tonight. We have some great comedians. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. And back to Carl.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're required by university rules to have a former Republican in class, so keep it going for John Burton. Yeah. We get big tips at those assisted living centers. Okay. Yeah, you are a former Republican, right?
Yes,
Do we have any Republicans in the crowd? I don't want to make anyone feel bad, but
we're all afraid.
yeah, that's okay. I have to go to places like Medford and Richland, Washington perform, so, I go to those places where Richland, where they think Marjorie Taylor Greene is a major intellectual. That's the kind of place. You know what I'm talking about, Mark? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
You're so young. It's in the Weekly Reader about Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're just mean. That's all they are anymore, right? It's a mean party. Where did I lose you people? Do you watch CNN?
We're mean too.
You're mean? No, you can't be as mean as Marjorie Taylor Greene. Half German, half shepherd, that woman. It's a long way to go for that joke, wasn't it? Do you really have a dog, or is that just part of the...
I have a dog, yeah.
You have a dog? What kind of dog is the Poppy?
Poppy is a Bernedoodle.
A what?
Burmese mountain dog.
Yeah, and you got it through your broker in Italy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Long shoes.
Yeah. We had a dog growing up, and our dog was twitching when she slept. And my mom took the dog to the vets and spent $50 to hear what? Dreaming. My mom spent $50. Nightmares. That's what the vet said. Your dog is having nightmares. And I'm thinking as a kid, what's a nightmare for a dog? He's drinking from the toilet bowl and the lid falls on his head? Or something like that? All right. We have a Democrat now to grace the stage. I want to balance the scales. said to Charles, "You are a Democrat." He said, "Yes, and then some." And it's sometimes lonely to be a Democrat in Clackamas County. He'll tell you about it. Please welcome Charles Gallia. Charles Gallia.
Charles,
Yes,
would you take this to the bathroom?
take this to the bathroom.
Right.
Oh, it's top secret?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you miss the class about props?
Well, no, I got it. One of the first classes we had, Carl said, what you need to do is connect with the audience. So share a little bit about yourself. And so I'm going to tell you, I've got a PhD in public administration, and I live in Clackamas County. Okay, that didn't work, right? The reason I mentioned the PhD in public administration is because I worked in the state government for a long time. And it was the source of a lot of amusement for me. Just one example is, it's Pride Month. It's also Migraine and Headache Awareness Month. And I'm thinking to myself, I need to be more aware of having a headache, right? So my job in part was to say, is this really a good idea that we're doing this sort of thing? And I had lots of years of doing it and lots of opportunities. One of my favorite ones is there's a building in Salem that's the Department of Human Services. And they serve people who are blind, disabled, and aged. And when you step off the elevator, there's a directory. And the directory, the bottom part of it is covered up. And it's in Braille. Okay? So I asked, really? We're covering up the Braille? And the administrator of the department said, well, it was wearing out. So I went to a training not too long ago, and it was about how do you communicate more effectively as a bureaucrat with communities. And one of the slides, those PowerPoint slides, had no TLAs with an exclamation point. And I'm sitting there thinking, what? What's a TLA? Well, it turns out it's 3-letter abbreviations. And if government is good at anything, it's coming up with bad abbreviations. Like the WikiLeaks task force. Okay. There was another one that, in Washington State. There was nuclear power plants, and they were operated by an organization. When they were being built, they kind of abandoned it. The name of the organization that was running them was called the Washington Public Power Supply System, or WOOFS for short. I mentioned that I'm from Clackamas County, and for those of you who are not familiar or not from the area, it is to the south and further to the right of here. To give you an idea of what Clackamas County is like, there's a little town called Malino, and it has a tavern. And the owners decided we're just going to skip the whole darts and foosball thing, and I'm going to put a shooting range out back. Okay, what makes it particularly interesting is not that, it's that it's adjacent to the Malino Airport. What could go wrong, right? Malino is also home to one of our county commissioners, Tootie Smith. Tootie Smith is a fourth generation Oregonian. She's very quick to say that. She's also white, middle class, kind of privileged and powerful. And she owns not a plantation, but an orchard. And this is how she explains it. A plantation provides housing to the people that work there, and she charges rent. Even before she took office, Tootie kind of made her foray into state politics by saying to the governor then, I call it Karen-splaining, that the masks and the distancing and all of that was a lot like slavery, right? And of course, she knows, being a non-plantation owner, what that's about. One of her colleagues is also in the same kind of league as Mark Scholl, and he's a piece of work. There's nothing funny about him. In fact, it's kind of sad and depressing. He recently said that that diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff, I'm again. I mean, really, out there in the open. He said, equality is where we can stop, and I'm good with that. He's probably peaked with his intellectual inquiry when he was asking a staff person when they were presenting information about the homeless in the county. He said, yeah, but are they residents of Clackamas County? Mark and Tootie are, source, like I said, a source of head scratching. But probably what's worse is down in Salem, the state legislature was held up for many, 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 many weeks. And the primary reason, and I'm glad everybody's sitting down, but the Republican senators have confessed that why they objected to showing up is because the reading level of the bills was too high. I'm not making that up, really. They said, we can't read this. It's too high. So they had somebody read some of the bills to them. And one of them, they said, oh, we don't like that part. And I'm thinking to myself, we should have warning signs, the kind that say you and your neighbor Darren shouldn't pick up your lawnmower and use it as a hedge trimmer. Or don't check the fuel level of your gasoline with a match. Or NyQuil causes drowsiness. We ought to do the same thing for those senators and put a little warning sign on there and say, this job requires reading, showing up to work, and if you don't like something, you can vote no. There's I don't mean to pick on the Republicans exclusively. In fact, I want to start a rumor. It's a company that will be formed that's going to focus in on election integrity and public finance of campaigns. The chief information officer will be our world-renowned Sherry Hall. The CEO and ethics chief will be Shemaya Fagan. The corporate treasurer will be the former U.S. Treasury Secretary and World Bank President George Santos. International sales will be conducted by Hunter Biden and Jared Kushner. The thing that I learned is there's a book that was out not too long ago. It's called Pickup versus Prius. And in it they describe the differences between how the worldviews of the conservatives and the progressive liberals. And progressive democratic liberals are like, critical thinkers and community oriented and woke stuff like that. And the Republicans in large part are driven by a sense of tradition, they need order, and the world is dangerous. And so I have one comment to the Republicans, and that is, boom! I probably owe someone an apology. So before I got up here and I handed the book over to Carl, I got a text, and I don't know how many of you are with the George Soros Conspiracy Club. So our plans for converting education have changed. We are no longer going to focus in on critical race theory for the 6-year-olds or biochemistry. Those are off the... What we're going to focus in instead on is called Project Trojan Horse. And we think that by making it seem like we agree with the opposition, that what we're going to end up doing is maybe have more success. The first one is we're going to say, yeah, we're against that anti-woke thing. Totally. You know, I mean, it's like, or we're for the anti-woke thing. So it's, and what we'd like to see is more naps. The other group that we're going to focus in on is the 3 and the 13-year-olds. We think that we'll have a lot of progress in that area. And in the spirit of Nancy Reagan, which before many of your time, we're going to teach these children, young adults, to say no. Just say no. 3 years old, no. 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 So we're going to think that both of those are going to be very helpful. And in fact, I think that the same kind of project would help with the Republicans, in Salem. They need a little nap time, learn that they can say no, and we'll probably be okay. So that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Charles. Charles Galloway, ladies and gentlemen. Charles. Very funny stuff. Charles. He actually, Anne, with Charles gave me, I collect political buttons. Gary will tell you I have over 23,000. It's true. Some years ago he said the buttons go where I go, so they're in storage. Well, he goes to storage every other year, but no. Thank you for laughing at that. But I have a Charles Gallia button when he ran for Oregon State Senate District 20. So, yeah, in his election. I actually think one of the big problems with politicians generally, and especially these days, no sense of humor. Gotta have it, okay, with all the problems we're facing. Actually, my favorite politician, as far as sense of humor, was a Republican back in the 50s when Republicans were kind of the good guys in a lot of ways. Margaret Chase Smith, anyone remember her? Yes, you do. You have no idea. She was a senator from the state of Maine, one of the first women senators, and back in the 50s, she was mentioned as a possible first woman president. She was that good, but she had a great sense of humor. A reporter asked her one day, said, Senator Smith, what would you do if you woke up and found yourself in the White House? She said, I would get dressed, run downstairs, apologize to Mrs. Eisenhower, and leave. That's my kind of politician. One more time for John and Charles, who worked so hard for us. Joining us now, she just knocked it out of the park. This is our third of 4 showcases, and Wendy was on 2 weeks ago, knocked it out of the park. I know she's going to do it again. Please welcome Wendy Heiss, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I'm going to move this. I was asked to move this. Okay. There we go. I was telling Carl earlier, I know there was some conversation going on up here. He was talking about conversation groups, and I mentioned part of it was because he asked if anyone came from a dysfunctional family. Some of you raised your hands. So did my child. They're right here. So it's okay. They looked at me first, and I was like, yes, raise your hands. So we're all good. Actually, I was going to share with you guys. So like Carl said, I did my first stand-up showcase 2 weeks ago. And I had the funniest thing happen to me. It was not my set, unfortunately, but that did happen. But afterwards, I went back to the back, I grabbed my phone, and I'm scrolling through, and there's some messages from my parents. And one's my mom, like, I can't figure out how to turn on the Zoom, whatever. And then there's one from my dad, he says, you did really great. And then there's another one, he says, your mom has a few questions, though, but I just love you. And that was an interesting platform for breaking news to people. And I'm thinking, what the hell is he talking about? So I'm racking my brains. I'm like, okay, is it, I don't know. Did they forget I was divorced? I feel like they knew that. And then suddenly I realized that at the very end of my set, which I will do again tonight, I mentioned that I'm bisexual. I had forgotten to tell them. So they thought this was me coming out to the world. I was like, nope, just forgot to tell you, sorry. I asked my mom, I was like, how did you expect that conversation to go? Like, hey mom, how you're doing? I know I'm like 47, but by the way, I'm bisexual and I have lots of sex. I don't know. I don't really know what that conversation was supposed to look like. She called me, the next day, and she's like, so I have some questions. I said, yes, I heard that. She goes, how long have you been bisexual? I said, well, I mean, my whole life probably, but I, realized it about 3 years ago. And she says, why am I always the last person to know everything? Okay, but it didn't end there. Oh no, she called my sister. So she calls my sister, and she asked my sister, did you know Wendy's bisexual? My sister's like, well, yes, which I'd already told my mother, I told her, right, which is, And then she goes, why am I always the last to know everything? And my sister says, because you act like this. Anyway, so yeah, that happened to me. So I am, like I mentioned, divorced, which my parents haven't forgotten, thankfully. I've been divorced I just celebrated 5 years divorced. I rewarded myself. I got myself my own apartment for the first time. It's the first time I've ever lived by myself in my entire adult life. I know it's just sad, right? And you're all like, "Aw, so sweet." No, it's okay. It's been kind of strange though. I had never lived in an apartment building before. The closest I've ever been before is a hotel. So I have this little studio apartment here in Northwest, and I have ADD. I also have a little bit of short-term memory loss because I'm getting older, and I find myself just, it's kind of fun because every day is like a new adventure, but I'm not quite used to the whole apartment thing yet, so I get home and I walk in and I'm like, oh, this is very nice, this will do. Yeah, look, okay, that looks good, and wow, I have that same picture in my place. That's my child. That's so weird. Oh yes, it's my apartment. I remember. Okay. I also am a little OCD, so I have this tendency to just randomly clean my apartment before I leave in the morning. So I have 6 children. None of them live with me now. I live by myself for the first time in my whole life. Did I mention that? So it's weird because I'll clean my apartment in the morning. I get home in the afternoon, and I'm like, wow. Everything is exactly where I left it. I'm not really sure. I just thought things like randomly moved. I mean, my kids always said it wasn't them. So, I don't know. And then the next thing I'm like, wow, the maids here are awesome. I should tip them. Oh, that's right. Anyway, yeah, so I had 6 kids. I was married for 26 years. Working on that divorce for about 20 of them. Took me a while. But here I am. And, when I got divorced, I was really excited because I was like, I got married very young. And I was 2. I got married very young, and so basically what I knew about men was my husband. He was the model man, and I thought, well, this is going to be great, because I get to go out and meet a lot of new people. I was super excited to start dating, and I got out there, and I just found that I was honestly mistaken. Pretty much guys are just the same, across the board. I'm sorry, gentlemen, but it's just, so for example, my ex, when we were in college, he would say things, And then he'd leave the room and my friends would say, oh yes, in Frank's world, that happened. Because what he thought happened often had little to do with what the rest of us knew had happened. And so he just lived in this kind of, sweet imaginary world. And I've noticed he's not the only guy who does that. I've met several guys now, and sometimes they're just like, wow, that's awesome. And then that's it. Like they just stop there. That's like as far as they get, and then nothing else. So for example, so I've run into some other guys who do this as well. I had 2 serious relationships fresh out of my divorce. One of them, when it was time for it to be done, I broke things off, and he said to me, but I'm a really great guy. Now, first of all, he wasn't. Okay, in no reality was he a really great guy. But beyond that, I just want to ask you for a moment to think about the logic here. So if I have to date him because he's a really great guy, then do I have to date everybody who's really great? Because unless he's the only one, I'm going to be dating a lot of people. And I feel like he's not going to like that, right? I feel like right there, that's going to just kill that relationship. So you might as well stop. The next guy that I dated broke things off. And this time he told me, you will not be able to live without me. So now I do have to admit, I feel like this one was partially my fault. I was married a long time, and there's some things I just don't like to do, So I'd be like, hey, can you open this jar for me? These pickles, I can open a jar. I really can. I just don't want to, Oh no, there's a spider. Please, can we kill the spider? I have 5 boys. I have touched many insects in my life. I can kill spiders, but I don't want to, right? I'd be like, hey, can you zip up my dress? No, that's just me trying to be sexy, right? It's like, I can zip up my own dress. I manage to get fully dressed every day and go to work. But I really honestly think he thought that I was not going to be able to live without him. I could see, probably a week or 2 out, he's just sitting at home. Yep. This is my guy voice, guys. Yep. She's just sitting there in a corner. Dress half zipped, trying to open a jar of pickles. Spider between her and the door. That phone's gonna ring any minute. No, mistaken. So I was like, okay, I think I'm kind of done with this whole serious relationship thing. I just want to date a lot of people for a while, so I got on a dating app. Now, I know a lot of comics talk about dating apps, but they're usually men. Have you ever noticed this? And all they do is complain about dating apps, right? So, they're like, oh, you don't do it. This is my other man voice. My Eastern man voice. It's like North Portland. Women never call me back. They just sit there and they ghost me, and I send them likes and they don't say anything back to me. And I go on dates with them and they never call me again. And, I get it. I get it, guys. I do. But I feel like you don't understand maybe what it's like on the woman's side of a dating app. So, first of all, we get hundreds of likes. Hundreds of likes. I'm not joking, okay? This is not me bragging. I went out with a guy once, we were talking, he was telling me about how his wife has thousands. So this is not just me. A whole nother story. And so it takes some time to go through those and live. And honestly, if the only thing you can manage to do is push a button to tell me that you like me, I feel like our relationship may be doomed already. I'm not thinking this is gonna go very far, guys. So I'm gonna expect a little bit more. You're gonna have to say something. Preferably clever, you know, you go through and, you know, try and weed it down and stuff, you know. I'm a recovering Catholic, so I apologize for everything, and I lived in the Midwest for a long time. So basically, I just feel guilty about everything I do all the time. And so I feel really bad, like, not going out on dates with these guys, but I feel worse if I go out with them and then I have to break things off. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be really picky, and I'm gonna whittle this down. So finally, there was a guy, we decided that we would meet. So I'm like, all right, you know, we'll see how this goes. You know, it sounded like potential, good potential. So I always, when I go on a date, one of these kinds of dates, I always schedule it for the weekdays, like around 5:30. Because first of all, who wants to waste a weekend on that, right? I mean, like, that's like prime time. I've got important things to do. But also, it allows me to do a little bit of a fib, okay? So like I mentioned earlier, ADD, OCD, I'm basically just soup. As I get older, you just keep adding alphabet letters to it. And so I know myself well enough after all these years to know that if I have to go home from work and find clothes and make it back out to a date, we're pretty much doomed. Like, this is not, I'm gonna be a wreck by the time I get there. So instead what I usually do is I text them and I say, oh, so sorry, I had to stay at work late. I'm coming straight from work, I'll just be in my work clothes, okay? So I know it's a little bit of a lie, but not really, because, you know, I don't like to lie either, so I really just work late. And then I go straight to the date. So I'm meeting this guy, and I text him my little text, and he comes back with something real witty. He's like, oh, well, that's fine as long as you're not a stripper, you know? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not a stripper. He said, well, I'm not either. I'm like, okay, you know, we've got something going on. You know, maybe. I know, right? This is what we have to choose from. I'm sorry. The bar is way down here. So I'm like, okay, well, that's good, you know. And we're meeting at this, you know, really nice bar in downtown Portland, like Fools and Ponies and Rabbits and, I don't know, Raven's Nest something, I don't know. So, you know, I say, well, I'll be there at this time. And he says, you know, well, don't worry, because I'm overdressed. So I'll make up for the fact that you're underdressed. Now, gentlemen, this is not the right thing to say. No. The right thing to say is, I'm sure you're beautiful in whatever you're wearing, okay? But no, that is not what this guy said. So then he went on to say, how about we cancel our reservations so you can go home and change? No. Okay, so I'm like, all right, this is feeling a little bit like maybe not such a good idea. Like, I'm right around the corner, it's okay. We'll just meet there. And I'm walking, and I'm thinking, wow, if he's overdressed, like I'm in sandals and a skirt, little tank top. I'm thinking I'm pretty cute right now, but for where we're going, if he's overdressed, I'm like, man, I don't know. And as I'm walking, I bump into someone, I step back, and he looks at me and he says, Wendy. And at first I don't recognize who it is. Oh, it's the guy I'm meeting. Didn't recognize him because he's wearing Crocs and shorts and a band t-shirt. And I remember I'm in Portland. Yes. It's a Portland tuxedo. You look lovely. Thank you. You went all out there, didn't you? I mean, the Crocs matched the shirt. Wow. Very nice. Yeah, so anyway, so we get on this date, and at this point I'm starting to think, now I work in HR, one of the things I do, and in Oregon, it's an at-will state, which basically means when I hire somebody, I can fire them at will, they can quit at will, right? It's, you know, we both have the right to do that. And I'm thinking, I need an at-will clause for my dates. I feel like I should put on my profile, all dates are at will. I may end them at any time I want. You can too. It'll probably be me. But that's okay. I say to the guy after about 30 minutes, you know, I really got some other stuff to do. I think I'm gonna go. He says, well, are we gonna see each other again? I don't think so. He says, but I'm the best one out there. I'm like, no. No. Again, mistaken. Okay, so he's in that little imaginary world. So anyway, I'm sorry. I know I can be really hard on the guys here, and I totally get that, and that's not completely fair. Like I mentioned earlier, I am bisexual, and so I was also excited to meet some girls. So I'm like on the apps, and I'm talking to some girls, and some ladies, and I just have to really tell you, it is really hard to talk to ladies on those apps. Do you know how hard it is? They ghost you. They never laugh. They don't call. Anyway, thank you.
Wendy Rice, ladies and gentlemen, Wendy Rice. Yeah! How many of you been on a date with Wendy? A lot of hands going up. One more time, Wendy, that's really good. I did forget, I'm glad Wendy mentioned it is Pride Month, and happy Pride Month. When I came out to my Republican mother, she said to me, well, we didn't have homosexuals in the 1950s. I said, well, somebody put the fins on those Cadillacs. I mean, somebody did those beehive hairdos. I'm thinking a lot of people in history were probably gay, but we'll never know, right? I'm thinking Marco Polo, for one. Late 13th century, Vandals have sacked Europe, Crusaders have sacked cities. He's out looking for silks and spices. Right? I mean, if you're gay in the year 1271, you just want a comfy caftan and a little nutmeg, really? That's what you want. My pleasure to bring our next performer to the stage now. He did my introductory class last fall, was back for the intermediate class this quarter. Just terrifically funny, getting better every class. You're going to love him. John Stamm, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, holy shit, I'm tall. I'll have people come up to me and they'll say, oh my God, you're so tall. I'm like, yeah, it's a very adult observation. I have people come up to me all the time and they ask, did you play basketball? And sometimes when I really want to fuck with them, I'll go like this. No. Did you play miniature golf? Unless I do anything else with my life, I'm pretty sure I know what the title of my memoir is going to be, Awkwardly Tall. I am 6'7", and I have a fear of heights. It's kind of a bummer. The one and only time I've ever sent a dick pic to a girl, it gave her vertigo. And I looked at the picture later, and it gave me vertigo. Just saying the ground is very far away. It's interesting being really tall. Kind of what Wendy was talking about, the dating apps were kind of a game changer for me. I remember when Tinder first came out, my buddy was explaining to me what the concept was. I was like, wait a minute. You're telling me that in lieu of developing any actual confidence or charisma in approaching women, I can just sit on the couch, watch anime, and beacon out to the world that I'm 6'7", and women will just be lining up to go on dates with me? Well, sign me up. Oh, what she's talking about, I had a very good time with dating. I mean, it's not fair, the tall thing with dating. It's basically, as long as you're tall and not broke, like, you really have to try to fuck it up. However, it can backfire. People look at me, I'm a large person, and they tend to think, everything is proportional. And it's definitely happened where I've been on some dates, you know, we're rolling along, things are going well, and eventually we get to my penis. And I get a look where it's like, oh. And it makes me feel like I lied to them, like I lied on my resume to get the job. And to be fair, these girls, they did not read the fine print. I did disclose on my dating profile that I am Jewish. All I'm saying, to all you big dick hunters out there, there is a difference between a black 6'7" and a Jewish 6'7". What else about being tall? I can no longer go to playgrounds and public parks. Not because I'm a pedophile. I'm not, by the way. Super clear. No, I can't stand being solicited for a pickup basketball game or to dunk a basketball because I can't, and I suck at basketball. I'm haunted by this one time, walking by a basketball court, and there's about a dozen, like 10 or 11-year-old kids, and they're playing. I walk by, and they all notice me, and they're like, oh my God, mister, come here, can you dunk? Come. And I'm like, no, I can't, just leave me alone. Before I know it, they have swarmed around me. Like I said, not a pedophile, but it would be kind of easy. And I'm trying to get out of this situation, and like the leader among them, he's got the ball, and he's like, come on, man, you can do this. I know, like, come on. And he's like trying to talk me up, and I have to like convince him, like, no, man, I actually can't. And it finally like hits him, and he looks at me, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, like I had cancer or something. And he's like, okay, well, you have a good day, sir. He's like, thanks. And I'm walking away, and I swear I heard them go, what a loser. You know, as an ambassador of the tall community, I believe it should sometimes be considered a disability. Airplanes? Are you shitting me? I can't fuck in those bathrooms. I can barely jack off in there as it is. Do you know what it's like being a 6'3", 14-year-old on a cross-country trip with a raging boner trying to jack off in one of those airplanes? It gets messy. You get cum everywhere. It gets all over your Old Navy t-shirt and matching cargo shorts. It gets all over the mirror, and you try to clean it up, and it just leaves this like cloudy film all over it. I'm telling you, it's a struggle in there. You know, certain careers are just unavailable to tall people. I can never be an astronaut. You know, I went well into my 20s thinking, you know, maybe it could happen. Maybe it could happen. I just, you know, I need to hear it from the source. I need someone who knows to confirm this to me, and I had my chance. I went to a book signing when I was about 30 for Chris Hadfield. And those of you who don't know who that is, he's like the face of the Canadian space program. He's like all over the media. He's got this mustache, really cool, nice guy. And I'm thinking, I'm going to go to this event, I'm going to buy his book, I'm going to ask him, he's going to be totally cool about it. It's Canadian, it's going to be so nice, it's going to be perfect. So I go there, buy the book, I'm standing in line with like a bunch of kids, and it's me. And the way it works is he's there, he's signing books, next, you get like 5 seconds. He signs a book, take a picture, done. And I have the book in my hand, I'm like, here we go. And I get up to him, I hand him the book, and I say, sir, am I too tall to be an astronaut? He has the book, he looks up for a second, he looks down, and he goes, I'm not kidding, he goes, that wouldn't be your first problem. And like I said, it's all in like, you get 5 seconds, and like while it's registering in my brain, he hands me the book back, and the picture's taken, and I'm like, what? And I swear, as I'm walking away, I thought I heard him go, what a loser. Being tall, man, it's not all what cracked up here. I had a scary day the other day. I recently sold my fancy digital camera to some dude on Reddit, And I go to drop it off at FedEx, drop it off, I'm walking out, get about a block away, and I stop dead in my tracks, and I realize I forgot to wipe that thing. I forgot to delete what was on there. And like, I don't know what the fuck is on this camera. I hadn't used it in like 2 years. And like, I'm freaking out. Like, for all I know, the first thing on there is like a video of my girlfriend doing a line of coke off my dick with my social security card. So now I gotta go back on Reddit, find this guy and be like, hey, should be a buddy for me? Yeah, that sucks. I don't know if I mentioned it, I'm from Florida, and I'm from this faraway magical place called Miami. It's very, very different from this town. Before law school, one of my jobs was I worked as a pool boy for the Trump Towers that are in Miami. And part of my job, I had to serve extremely wealthy, but very new money foreigners. My favorites are the Russians. You know, you'll see them in Miami, they'll be driving their Rolls Royces and at the same time dipping their chicken McNuggets in Coke on the dashboard. It's just pure class. Love it. I'll never forget one day I'm working the beach at Trump Towers, and I see in the distance coming back from the beach heading towards me is this old, big, haggard Russian grandmother, fresh off the boat. She's wearing this sequin swimsuit with this matching sequin Gucci hat, big Chanel sunglasses, but she's pissed. She's got me dead in her sights, and she's like lumbering over to me. I'm like, okay. She comes up, no joke, she says, "The beach is too sandy. You do something about this, yes?" I'm like, I'll get right on that, man, yeah, totally. I also worked with a bunch of foreigners. It was a cool experience. One guy I worked with, he was a Brazilian guy. His name was Juliano. And in addition to being a pool boy, one of his side gigs was he was a recruiter for a porn production company in Miami. And what he would do was he would go out in South Beach to clubs and he would approach girls, couples, guys, and he'd basically be like, "I can get you money to fuck on camera." And it worked. He was actually really good at it. And while he's telling me about this, you know, I'm like adjusting myself. And he looks at me and goes, "No, you're Jewish." And I'm thinking, to do that job successfully, you gotta be like a suave Brazilian guy. Like you picture me like this cousin Greg looking motherfucker. Like lurking in the club, being like, "So, I could probably get you in like, an adult film situation, like, like for money, like totally consensual, like, that would not go well." One of my favorite conversations I had with Juliano, my colleague, I don't know how it came up, but I was talking and I used the word abstinent. And remember, he's Brazilian, he speaks Portuguese, like English is his second language. And he stopped me and he's like, "Wait, what'd you say?" And I go, "Abstinent?" He goes, "Abstinent? What is that?" And I'm like, it's like where you voluntarily choose not to have sex as a lifestyle. And he looks at me and he's like, What? And I realized I just blew his fucking mind. This is a Brazilian. These are the most beautiful sexual people on the planet. They don't have a concept of abstinence. It's like explaining a color that you've never seen before. No, but I love meeting people like that. I love meeting people from different places. I love learning different phrases and isms and sayings that people have from where they come from. I learned one recently. It's from Texas. And the guy was saying, the expression is, "He's all hat and no cattle," which basically means that the guy is a poser, like he's full of shit. And I was trying to think what the Portland version of that expression would be. And I think I got it. "She's all bangs and no bush." Wouldn't that be the name of a great coffee shop in the city? Bangs and Bush. Speaking of coffee shops, I had a very exciting day the other day. I'm at my local coffee shop, not Bangs and Bush, unfortunately. I'm with my girlfriend and we're working. And I'm sitting there and I notice there's a guy like 12 feet away from me. And I'm looking at him like, I know this guy. Like, how do I know this guy? And I'm thinking, I'm racking my brain, and I remember I knew him when we were kids in the 90s. We went to Jewish sleepaway camp together. The good kind. I've seen his dick. It was the biggest dick I've ever seen. Oh my God, it's that kid. Holy shit, he's all grown up. Oh my God. He doesn't recognize me. Like, I know who he is. He doesn't know who I am. No one else around knows who he is and what he's got. I'm like, oh my God, holy shit. And I'm like kind of shaking right now remembering this, like this power that I have. Like, what do I do right now? It's this kid. What's this? It's so exciting. And I'm sitting there with my girlfriend and I'm trying to get her to notice, and we're working, and she's like, what? And I'm like, that guy, his dick. And she's like, and she can't, she's like, what? So I take the piece of paper with the Wi-Fi password on it, I turn it over and I write down, I know that guy, I've seen his dick. And I pass it to her, she looks at me, she goes, what the fuck? I'm like, I know, it's awesome, right? She's like, you're an idiot. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, there, I'm just getting excited. I don't know what to do. It's like this power. It's like, I should go up to the guy. I didn't go up to him, and I kind of regret that. Then we left, and now I'm thinking, like, at some point, someone closed up that coffee shop and found this piece of paper that says, I know that guy, I've seen his dick. That's it. That's all I got. Now stand, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. God, stand. Good stuff.
That was a wonderful set, and when he did that impression, how many of you watched Succession? Anybody watch Succession? That is a great Cousin Greg impression. Give it up just for that. I was brilliant. I've never heard a Cousin Greg impression, and that's the best one. Nicely done. Are you texting someone about how great the show is?
Absolutely.
Or you sending a dick pic? Is that what you're doing?
No,
To see if she
vertigo.
has vertigo? Yeah. Okay, a little test for you. She's suddenly interested in our conversation. God, you guys are just so young. Barbie and Ken, I fucking hate you. Look how young you are. I just want to pop your heads off. You're just so beautiful. By the way, PortlandComedy.com is the website, right?
That's correct.
What is the website again, Patrick?
PortlandComedy.com.
That's right. We have 2 spots left for the introductory class in the summer, which starts on July 10th or 11th. I'll be there one of those days. And it's a great experience. We have a lot of fun, as you can see. We have as much fun in the class as we do performing. So, PortlandComedy.com. Coming to the stage now, a guy I've had the pleasure to meet in this class. I just think he's absolutely terrific. He's got a natural sense of humor, natural persona. Please welcome Gray Linnea, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. Carl's correct, my name's Gray. When I go into any restaurant, anywhere, they ask, is that with an A or with a Y? Wait, or an E? I guess I'm nervous. It's neither. My name is spelled G-R-A, with a little pride flag on the A. My name's Irish Gaelic. In Irish Gaelic, my name means love. That's what I wanted you to do! Yeah, technically in Irish Gaelic, my name is pronounced Gra. I choose to pronounce it Gray because Gra sounds stupid. I recently turned 53, and there's a, yeah. Woo, let's hear from me! Yeah, I think think 53 is kind of an age where you start like looking back on your life, you know, looking over things. You know, you're hitting a point where it's like you got this like salt and purple hair, and there's just a moment when, you know, you look at yourself in the mirror. You relate to this, fucking 20-year-old. You look at yourself in the mirror and you think, God damn, man, what's your deal? What is with you? I don't know, I've had kind of a strange life. I've been in many places, I've done different situations. I like being a weird person, but you know, sometimes it makes it hard to emotionally connect with people who have a different life experience than I do. And you know, that's one of the things that's important to me. So, like for example, I lived on a commune for most of my life. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. Ooh. Power. For those of you who don't know what a commune is, imagine a farm in the woods, and there's a petting zoo, but all the animals are hippies. And they're petting each other. And it's kind of weird being in the normie world, living on a commune. I was living in a commune in Virginia, and I got a job at Capital One, the credit card company. And if you think it's strange to be a hippie working at Capital One, you are correct. My first day, my manager had a little like get to know you icebreaker meeting. And he was like, share your name and a quirky fact about yourself. And so we're going around the circle. The first person is like, hey, I'm Luke. And my quirky fact is, I bought a house recently. Second guy is, my quirky thing is I recently got married. The people of Virginia do not know what quirky means. The Webster Merriam Dictionary defines quirky as unusual in an appealing or compelling way. And I was here to show them what quirky means. It comes around to me, and I'm sort of going through my Rolodex of weirdsies. And I'm like, okay, I'm bisexual, I'm polyamorous, I'm neurodivergent, mentally ill, cis-like, anarchist. Eventually I just decided to be like, hey, my name's Gray, you don't know how to spell it, but the quirky fact about me is I live on a commune. Yep, that's how I was met in the meeting. Dead silence! Just moved on. I'm walking back to my cubicle, and this sort of good old boy comes up to me and he's like, so, you have wife swap in there? No, my good sir. We do not have wife swapping. You see, wife swapping suggests that women are property to be passed from man to man, which kind of goes against the whole, you know, commune thing. And yeah, I mean, people have lots of weird ideas about communes. They're always just like, do you have a guru? We do not. Do you have lots of guns? We don't. Do you worship space lizards? Most of us don't. There's this one guy named Ari. And he's just doing the best he can. I know some of you are like, yeah, great, but were there orgies? I'm offended, Charles. Offended to my core. Of course we had orgies. So many orgies. Orgies are how hippies close out the week. As I mentioned, I'm bisexual. Where my queer family at? If you are If you need a definition, I assume you're a virgin from Utah, but my definition of bisexuality is that I'm attracted to more than one gender. There are different definitions in the community. If you are Kinsey 6, 100% gay, then bisexuals are traitors to the cause, muddying the waters of gay freedom. But if you're Kinsey 1, 100% straight, then bisexuals are just another gay dude. That's right, crush all the puss you want. Sleep with one guy. You're just a homo. Speaking of which, I was on a date with this guy in San Francisco. And, it was fine. I already knew I wasn't going to sleep with him because men are terrible. Can we all just agree not to fuck misogynists? Come on! I need a pledge from everyone in this room. We're not going to fuck misogynists. And if you are a misogynist, you're not allowed to masturbate. Figure out your shit. But I was raised in the Midwest. I got this whole politeness thing. Wendy. And I'm gonna stick out the date because that's what you do when you're from the Midwest and you feel guilty about everything. Anyway, he and I were talking and we got into this conversation about the fact that neither of us had ever been to a leather bar. And he mentioned that he thought there was one on the other side of town. We hopped into a cab and we went over there. This was a very, very bad part of town. Like a warehouse district. There's this one place, grungy looking, line of motorcycles out front. Heavy metal music blasting from inside. And I pulled up my big boy pants and I went to the door, opened it, and I realized we were going to die. Everyone inside this place looked like a Hell's Angel. They had beards down to their belly, denim vests, pounding music, just matching my heartbeat. I wanted to back out the door, but the idiot I'm on the date with is blocking the entrance. And then a naked guy in cowboy boots walked by, waving a pride flag. Woo! It was going to be okay. And I realized in that moment that there are whole subsections of gay that I am deeply unfamiliar with. So, I was scared to death when I was at the door. It made me realize that I had a full bladder. I was very glad I didn't pee myself. Quirky fact about me, I'm a shy peer. My preference is to pee in a stall, in an empty bathroom, preferably in a building with no people in it. So I took my full bladder to the bathroom there. I walked in. There is a stall. There's no door on it. There are no urinals in the bathroom. Just this long trough along one wall with so many men standing in it. I shored up my courage and I walked up to the trough, and in that moment I realized that there was a mirror on the wall along the entire length of the trough, right at dick level. So, I just had to get through this. Even though I would say that this is an extreme peeing event. Like brought to you by Red Bull. So I'm standing there doing my breathing exercises. I'm aligning my pee chakra. And this snaggly-toothed old man stumbles drunkenly into the bathroom. And he walks all the way to the end of the line. And he asks the gentleman standing there, "Would you like a blowjob?" And the gentleman said, no, thank you. Now, if I had asked such a thing and gotten that response, I would have said, thank you for your honesty. I would have cried inside and gone home to watch a Hallmark film while eating Ben & Jerry's right out of the container. This was not Mr. Snaggletooth's way. Oh no. He bargained with the guy. He cajoled him. He started to barter and haggle. The guy was not having it. So Mr. Snaggletooth took a step to the left, one person closer to me. Da-dum. Da-dum. He argued with the second guy. No dice. Went on for a while. Went to the third guy. Same thing. Here I am. My bladder is so full at this moment. Like explode and die full. I realized that I had 3 options at this point. 1, pee my pants. 2, run away while peeing my pants. Or 3, using an incredible force of will, make my own heart stop and die. And then probably pee my pants. So Mr. Snaggletooth, like a shark fin in the ocean, moved ever closer to me. Dun, 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 dun. He got to the guy right next to me. And before he could say anything, the guy said, actually, I would like a blowjob tonight. Just not from you. No, Mr. Snaggletooth is not the victim here. You'll notice the shaking man standing at the end of the trough. Mr. Snaggletooth, he argues a little bit, and the moment has come. Last inning, chips are down. It's time to pee or get off the trough. Mr. Snaggletooth gives up on this man, and he turns, and he walks right by me, and doesn't ask me if I want a blowjob! I've never felt so conflicted in my entire life. I just want to be like, hey, you didn't ask me if I want a blowjob. I don't, by the way. But it would have been polite to ask. So I'll tell you this story so I can build a bridge and we can become emotionally closer. And I'll leave you with this. Shit, why didn't I share that as my quirky story? Thank y'all.
Great job, Gray Lanea. Keep on, Gray Lanea. Yes. No, sir, he's not going to the bathroom. Sit back down. Just take a seat. It's all, he's really straight, you know. Charles is a lesbian. It's all acting. That's what it is. Are you explaining what a blowjob is to him? Because he had that look in his eye like, oh my God. One more time for Gray Lanea. Was this like South Dakota? Just like it. Okay, great job. We have 2 more performers, and I want to mention Hannah Michelati, who's just wonderful, was due to perform tonight and Sunday, but she's been testing positive for COVID and is not feeling well. But Hannah will be teaching, and she's fantastic. Anyone seen Hannah before? Hannah Michelati, she's wonderful. She's also teaching a storytelling class that begins in July, right?
That's correct.
And where can we find all the information on her storytelling class?
PortlandComedy.com.
Great, okay.
And
More classes are added every day. The art of standing in a trough, I think, is now added.
starts in August.
Of course it does. Are you right, sir? You're a little frightened. Are you all right? No, oh, you're all right. Are you all right, ma'am? You all right? Okay. I just like to check. I do play places like Medford and Richland. Okay. Are you ready for more comedy? We have 2 more. I have a special kinship with our next performer. I love him very much because he is from where I am from, and soon you'll know why. Please welcome Bill DiStefano, ladies and gentlemen. Bill! Come on!
Thank you, Joel. How we doing, everyone? Anybody here from the East Coast? Oh, nice. You'll get a lot of this. My name's Bill, like you said. I'm an accountant, so you know I'm funny. I grew up in New Jersey. Hey! Yeah, the Cleveland of States. I think people misunderstand New Jersey because of that freaking movie, The Jersey Shore. How many people ever watch that? You know they're not from New Jersey, right? Don't judge us based on those people. Those are New Yorkers, okay? Let me tell you about New Jersey. Number 1, predominantly Italian, so you're gonna eat well. It's run by the mob, so everything's fucked up and under construction. And The Sopranos is true. In fact, we consider it a documentary. Now, I grew up during the Soprano era. My father was a judge in the same town that Soprano grew up. And he was one of maybe 10 he didn't own. And I had to deal with their kids. Well, the kids all had these fucking nicknames, all right? Let me tell you a little more about the mob. Maybe that's better. These people, everything's got to be a secret, right? I'll give you an example. Their grocery list is a fucking secret. They went to name our state university, and they were sitting there going, well, we need to have a New Jersey State University. And the mob said, whoa! Don't ever use your real name, Mason. Call it Rutgers. Sounds British. Anything goes down the plain tungsten. Now, unfortunately, when I was in high school, I lost my parents, not to bring sadness here. I think they escaped personally when they knew I was getting out of high school. They probably said, oh no, check it out. But after I got out, I ended up having to work for some of these gentlemen. And one of the guys I had to work for, his name was just fucking confusing to me because he was a bookie that I collected for. His name was Nicky the Nose. He had a big chin. Then there's this other guy who I was told was a hitman. He's a vegetarian. What? Yeah, we call him meat. You people make no fucking sense. So, my nickname was probably a little more fun. They called me Billy Bag of Donuts. And the reason they call me Billy Bag of Donuts is I'm sure you all pictured the collection guy. He walks in, he got the little gray fucking bag, gets the money and goes. I'm a little more creative. I used to use a Dunkin' Donuts bag with a window. And people are like, why the fuck would you collect money with a window in your bag? I said, I'll tell you why. I would take this, I don't know if anybody's ever had to collect money, but most I ever had to collect was like 20 grand, okay? And that's about that thick. Wrap it in the towel, put it at the bottom of the bag, put the boss's favorite donuts on top. You see where I'm going? 2 things. You get stopped by a cop, he's not even thinking money. And you offer him a fucking donut, he takes it off the top, we're good. But you go to the boss and drop off cash and donuts, you're getting promoted. And I did. To strip club manager. In case you didn't know, the jobs that you get from the mob are just awesome. Because you really don't do shit. You just kind of wield their reputation around. And I got this one gig where they sent me to do a strip club down in San Diego. This is a true story. I get there and I go, well, what's the problem with the club? And they go, well, the Teamsters are trying to unionize the dancers. I said, what? How the fuck do you unionize strippers? And he goes, I don't know, but they're going to try. So I didn't realize what a dumb idea this was, because these girls didn't do anything. I'm like, well, they don't do anything. And I work at a club up here, and I'm like, holy shit, these people work. Oregon knows how to fucking dance. This girl, I came into an Oregon club, and it was like watching Ricochet Rabbit. She was like, bing, 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 bing. I was like, what the fuck? Do we have insurance for this shit? I saw injuries I never saw before here. In San Diego, just to give you a little visual, this is what the dancers do on stage. They go, hi. Yours jumps up on the fucking rafter, does a spin, hits the pole, comes down and goes clock, clock, boom. I'm like, that's worth $20 fucking dollars. Okay? Not the ones I saw down south. Now I'm sure you're like, well, I don't really get these people from church. You know, they act like me, right? You're wondering why that is. Well, I'll tell you why. Benson, and I'm not talking about their skull. I'm talking about people. You guys have it good. Do you know how many people per square mile are in New Jersey? Anyone want to guess? 1,200 per square mile. Do you know what you have in Oregon? 40! 40 people per square mile. Yeah, how nice you can be when there's only 40 people in the room. That's why we're a little aggravated. You get in a room with 1,000 people, you know there's going to be at least 5 times the assholes in the room that you have to deal with. I was a late bloomer. I didn't start smoking pot till I was 40. It was weird too, because you know, how many people here smoke pot long before 40? One guy. Who are you kidding? Everybody, I'm looking over here thinking, they never smoked pot. You're not even going to get what I'm about to say, are you? Now I'm going to talk about all those teenagers, you know, when you smoked and you had these dumbass ideas. Well, I would write them down. Now I'm 40, I think, oh, this is brilliant, I'm making $1 million fucking dollars. You kidding me? And I'm telling this guy, you should be an insect psychiatrist. Like, why the fuck would I do that? I go, because insects, mind you, stone, good shit too. Insects have personalities. Hey, look out, I told him that. Who do you think was stoned, me or him? We're moving on. I found out I had sleep apnea after my neighbor filed a noise complaint. So I, go to the doctor and she puts me on the scale, and then all of a sudden she gets really fucking serious and looks at you and goes, I'm scheduling you for a mammogram. What the fuck are you trying to say? You're fat. Hey, people didn't know sleep apnea makes you gain weight. So I had to lose weight. So I went and I got a Fitbit. Little warning. If you masturbate, switch hands. Yeah, it counts the steps. A lot of you want to know, they ask me, well, what did you learn in this comedy class with Carl? I said, well, for one thing, I learned that pregnant women can be funny. I was astonished when I saw children clapping when their mother said, yes, I've been divorced 5 years. And they're like, yay! I was like, I didn't know kids could cheer them on. What was the other one? Oh, yeah, because he's not here. Nick, that's why I didn't remember. First of all, I know you have a much higher density of gay people than I do, but I didn't know what a fucking popper was, okay? Till this class. You gay people have it way fucking better than us, you know that, right? I have nothing I can take that makes me want to do anything as crazy as the shit Nick talks about. I wanted to close out with a stupid joke. I watch these spiritual people online, right? YouTube, all that. I'm watching this guy, Joel Osteen, and he does a joke at the beginning of his sermon every time, and it hit me. All the priests that you know aren't serious. They're all comedians. They all just tell fucking jokes so you'll believe in God. This is the one he told that I thought was hysterical. There's this man, this reporter, he has to go around to all the regions and visit the main, the main church. So he goes to Boston, he walks in, he goes to talk to a guy, and he sees this freaky gold phone in the back, and the sign that says, 10 grand, talk to God. Huh? And he asks, what the hell is that? He goes, give us 10 grand, go over there, make a call, you can have a 1-minute call with God. Whatever. Leaves, goes to the next region, he's down in the south, walks in, same thing, gold phone, 10 grand. Why? Nobody really believes that, do they? Of course they do. Pay 10 grand, you'll talk to God. Goes to Texas, walks in, sees the same damn phone. Only it says 25 cents. Like, well, why is it only 25 cents? Oh, here it's a local call. But I'm bummed. I think I ended on a stupid one. But thank you, everybody.
Good job.
Bill Stefano, ladies and gentlemen. Rutgers graduate, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it going for Bill. Anyone from the East Coast here? Oh, where are you from?
Baltimore?
Baltimore. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, I have a summer home there. Yeah, okay. And so that was funnier to you because you're from Baltimore. You live out here now?
Yes.
Oh, or commute? Do you go back to Baltimore every Monday?
I live out here.
Yeah, what do you do here?
I'm a teacher.
A teacher, good for you. What do you teach?
4th and 5th grade.
4th and 5th grade, it's kind of like my job. And I teach comedy classes, and where can people get that information?
Oh, Portland Comedy.
A marketing specialist over there. One more time for my friend Bill DeStefano. I'm telling you, I love it. Very funny. Our young people left. I'm sure it's curfew. Beyond the curfew. Oh, okay, this is great. My students. Pleased to end the show with it, and have a hand for everybody on the show. They've just been fantastic. Everybody putting themselves out here. And I appreciate this audience. I love this guy. I didn't have to teach him really anything because I just think he's a natural. And please welcome Denny, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi. Something really exciting happened to me very recently, and I want to share it all with you. But before I can, there's something about me that you have to know, because it adds context to the story. Story won't make a lot of sense without it. So here it is. I have a fearful response to flying, right? And I think that's the best way to say it. I'm not ashamed to say I'm afraid of flying, because I think that stigma's crap. But the most appropriate, most accurate way to say it is that I have a fearful response, because it is not something I think about. It happens automatically, and it's beyond my control. And the reason it happens is because, it's not because, like, I looked up the odds of dying in a plane crash. But, well, I mean, I did. I looked up the odds of dying in a plane crash. And there are 11 million to 1, okay? But it's not like I looked at that and was like, oh, well, those odds That's just too close, I'm afraid. That's not what happened. What happened is I was in an airplane once that fell for almost a minute, right? Here's what happened. I was sitting in the airplane, minding my own business, trying to take a nap, and then I was roused up by like the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life. To this day, I don't know what made that noise and why it was that loud. But what happened is the plane jumped, and then the plane went like this, and then the plane fell. And the plane just kept falling. And I was looking out the window, and I was watching the ground rush up at 32 feet per second, and it got scary, and after about 10 seconds, it was terrifying. And it just kept happening, right? And so about the 30-second mark, I thought, well, this is done. And I looked up to see who else was afraid, and up against the inside of the fuselage was the flight attendant, was pasted up against the fuselage like this, looking at me because she was stuck there because when the plane fell, it caught her and she had to ride the plane as it went down, right? And here's how my brain works. I looked at her and I said, she is unironically proving Einstein's general. Right? Do you know about this? Okay, so before Einstein came along, everybody thought that there's this force of gravity, right? The Earth, the planets pull you with the force of gravity. And Einstein came along and he said, nope, that's not how it works. There are no forces. All there is space and time. And if something is in space, it is falling all the time. That's how it works. There's nothing more complicated than that. So that means that we are standing on a rock that's falling through space and nobody can steer it. Now, if that doesn't terrify you, I don't know what you're thinking. Right? We're falling through space at 18.5 miles per second. 67,000 miles an hour we're falling through space and we can't steer. And so anything that's out there, we're just going to hit it. I don't know how you sleep at night. I don't. But I look up at our flight attendant and she's proven it, and I thought, okay, wait, so first thing I'll do is I'll end the suspense right here. We didn't crash, we didn't die, right? We made it out of it, okay? So, but what did happen is that I was like the inside, like on my amygdala, right, is now for, you know what the amygdala is? Okay, so the amygdala is that part of your brain that controls fear. It's from our early evolution, right? Like when we were like little people running around the savannah, right? And you'd hear a rustling in the bushes, and we would jump, right? Because it might be the wind, or it might be a predator. And so our amygdala's job is to be like, why take a chance? So, so every time now I think about getting on an airplane, every time I think about getting on an airplane and going up in the sky, my amygdala says, remember that time? Remember what happened? And it takes control of my autonomic nervous system, and it changes my body, right? It makes my blood pressure rise, my heart rate goes up, my breath gets shallow, vision narrows, and I get cranky. Right? Because I don't know I'm scared, right? I don't know that I'm scared. I'm rational, right, I think, and I'm thinking, okay, so I can do this, it's safe, the airline industry's safe, right? You all know that, you all fly, you don't have these issues. But my amygdala does not know that. So it gets me all ramped up. That's what you needed to know about me. You can tell me something about you after. Okay, so now on to the story. 2 months ago, April 18th, I go on vacation, my first vacation since COVID. And me and my sweetie, we are in the middle of nowhere in southern Washington on a 2-lane road. And there's nothing. It's just like a 2-lane road, and we're out in the middle of nowhere. She's driving, and I have a giant heart attack. Now, those two things are probably not related. I'm not saying they're related, right? I'm just saying that that's what happened. She was driving, I had a heart attack. And not the fun kind, like a bad one, right? Have you ever, have you heard, people say it's like an iron band, a sweet, yes, that's exact, it's like, the heart attack is like, go ahead and breathe. Go ahead, breathe, right? And I couldn't, right? So it took us 27 minutes to get to the hospital. And during that 27 minutes, all I could do was try to breathe so that I could stay conscious so I didn't die. So I did it. We got to the hospital. She puts me in a wheelchair, pushes me inside. And at that point, I'm thinking, okay, your turn. I'm done. So this emergency room nurse is walking by, and she looks at me and she says, oh my. And I thought, not good. So she grabs a wheelchair and she pulls me into a room. She throws me on a gurney, pulls my shirt up, didn't even introduce herself, pulls my shirt up, starts hooking leads on me everywhere, right? Gets the last lead, the machine goes nuts. As soon as she gets the last lead on, the machine goes crazy. It starts beeping and booping and spitting out quarters. She runs out of the room screaming, right? And she's screaming, Packer, Packer, we have a Packer, we need a flight. And I said, wait a minute. She runs back in the room, grabs the gurney, pulls me out, where this amazing pit crew of people descends on me, and they're like a head, foot, 3 on each side. And within 15 seconds, literally within 15 seconds, my shirt is off. They've got an IV in this arm, an IV in this arm, an IV in this hand. They've taken off my shoes and socks, and they've marked all the arteries in my feet and ankles. That's the part that scared me. I didn't know it till the next day, and that's a good thing, because it might have been that, who knows, I might have given up right there, because what were they going to do with my feet if I didn't make it? Does anybody know? Do they harvest your feet? So this guy comes and he sticks his face right in my face, and he goes, I'm the doctor. Actually, he said his name, but I don't know. So he said, I'm the doctor, and we're prepping you for a flight to Vancouver. And I said, but it's so close. We're in Long Branch. I mean, let's just drive, right? And he said, no. And they took me off and they said, MRI, and they ran down the hall. The pit crew does everything at full speed, right? Everything. So they run me down the hallway. They get me in a room and they go, now you're going to get an MRI on your heart. I said, okay, fine. Because I didn't have much choice. Still trying to breathe. A few minutes later, another face gets in my face and says, good news, your aorta is clear. And I said, cool. Now we can drive to Vancouver. And she said, no. There is no scenario in which you don't fly. But this means that you'll probably survive until you get to treatment. Probably survive until you get to treatment. Then this guy in a blue jumpsuit shows up, and he's right behind me, and he leans down into my face like all the rest of them do. And he says, my name is Bruce. No, I'm sorry. He said, my name is Dwayne. I don't know where that came from. This is my partner, Jason. We're going to fly you to Portland. Now, the entire pit crew, now there's 12 people in this room. The entire pit crew stops what they're doing, looks up at him, and says, Vancouver. And I thought, oh my God, this is the Greek chorus. This is a tragedy. And I'm the character best positioned to suffer the tragedy. Right? So maybe I should fly. So Bruce says, no, Vancouver's full. We're going to fly him to Emmanuel. Now the doctor, probably just to make me feel good, the doctor said they don't have the care he needs at Emmanuel. And I thought, well, if it's just me against a heart attack, let me fight it out here. Right? You don't don't need to give the heart attack the advantage of the plane ride because my blood pressure's already high enough. And Bruce said, no, Emmanuel has a landing pad. We're going to fly him there, and then we're going to ambulance him over to Good Sam. And I said, Bruce, wait a minute. If you're going to drive from Emmanuel to Good Sam in rush hour, we might as well leave now because we'll get there at the same time. It's like the Fremont it's packed. And Bruce says, no, flying is your best option. And I looked at him and I said, that is a flight suit. And so his best option for everything is the flight. Right? Like there's not a choice where his best choice is like, we'll fly, right? But that's not what I said, right? What I said, but here's what I heard coming out of my mouth. What I said is, I said, well, you're a hammer, so we all look like nails to you. And he said, what is this guy's oxygen level? We gotta get him out of here. And into an elevator, up to the roof, and in the helicopter before I know what's happening. Him and Jason jump in the helicopter, strap me in, and we take off like one of those sexy like James Bond takeoff scenes, like nose down, tail up, you know, because that's the way we like it. And so we start rocketing over southern Washington, right, at what I assume is full speed. And Bruce and Jason, actually I keep calling him Bruce, but his name's Dwayne. Dwayne and Jason. He looks like Bruce, all right? That's all. He looks like Bruce. So Dwayne and Jason, they're doing all this magic stuff with medicine so that I can breathe, right? They're trying to get my chest to relax enough so I can breathe. And like, we weren't in the air for like 30 seconds and they found the magic formula and suddenly I could breathe. And Jason says to me, hey, would you like a little something for that flight anxiety? And I said, and I don't know why I said this, but I said, nah. It's only 12 minutes, I can make it. And he said, well, first of all, it's 18 minutes. And second of all, this is good stuff. So I said, well, load that stuff up, Jason. And he hits liquid Ativan into one of my IVs, I don't know who, one of them. And the next thing you know, I'm like, calm. So for the first time in over an hour, I can breathe and I can think, right? And I'm hearing the headset, and I know we flew over PDX because I heard the pilot get clearance, and they stopped planes at PDX for me, right? So we come up, we're flying, headed towards Emmanuel, and we're over North Portland, and the Ativan hits, and the world is nice. And I don't think, you probably don't remember April 18th the way I do. But April 18th was a rainy day, right? And it was one of those days in Portland where everything's gray, but it's bright. You know, one of those like beautiful gray days that only Portland can have. And we got this low cloud cover, and we're flying like right underneath the cloud cover, and it's twilight. And so I'm looking out over East Portland, and I'm looking down to Willamette, and I see Oregon City, and I can see Camas way out there, and there's ribbon of light on the Columbia, and Portland is just shining like the jewel that it really is, right? And I thought, you know, relax. Enjoy this beautiful moment, because this might be the last thing you see. Right? If the heart attack doesn't get me, we're probably going to crash. So just try to take in the beauty and enjoy the moment. And then I thought, you know, the worst thing that could happen is that this is the last thing I see, and I die right here. You know, either by crash or by heart attack. That's the absolute worst thing that can happen. But the best thing that can happen is that this guy safely lands this helicopter onto a rock that's falling through space at 67,000 miles an hour with nobody steering. That's the best outcome. So I thought, just enjoy the moments as they come and ride the rock, because that's all we got. That's all we can do. And that's all I have. Thank you for listening.
Train, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Wow. You love the show? I'm thinking $5 is not enough, so there'll be a $20 charge for you. Patrick loves that. Where can they get information about our classes, Patrick?
Oh, hey. PortlandComedy.com.
Yeah, that's the first rule. Make sure the mic's on.
And if they really want to be advanced, PortlandComedy.com/register will take them right to that page really quickly. But you
Yeah.
can also click on the education button.
Yeah.
Or call us if you're confused.
Yeah, and I think Denny's parting words, I hate to say parting words.
Too soon, too soon.
His fight, no, that's not good. His last words, the last thought he left us with is really what the class is all about. I mean, life is difficult enough, and we have so much fun, and I just really love that people are coming in and putting themselves out for their own happiness and yours as well. I want a hand for everybody on the show tonight. John Burton, Charles Gallia, Wendy Heiss, stay over here, John Stan, 6'7", Gray, Renee, Bill, Stefano, who am I forgetting? And Danny, and we can't do any of this without Patrick, and Patrick can be emailed at, I did get everyone, thank you, at portlandcomedy.com. We have another show on Sunday, and some of the performers, you'll be here, because you live here, basically. And you spend a lot of time in the bathroom. And,
He rents. Just want you to know he rents.
he rents? Okay, right. It's a distinction.
We don't provide housing.
Yeah. So we have a show 7:30 Sunday, and some of the same performers on, but different performers to be at two classes. And I just want to thank you all for showing up. Please support comedy one more time for everybody on the show. Thank you for supporting them and comedy sports. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
If you are able, recycling the trash, follow the lights. That would be awesome. Thank you.
You